Coming up on TSN Sports Desk, could the end be near for football in Ottawa? It's third and long as the CFL revokes the Rough Riders franchise. But Larry Smith says there's still some thread of hope.
I think the opportunity is out there now for someone to take a step forward. But I would have to say clearly that this is in the hands of the people of the city of Ottawa.
Meanwhile, Jim Spiros looks for ways to keep the Owls alive in Montreal. Baseball owners are casting their votes on a proposed deal with the Players Union. Todd Hollandsworth makes it 5 Dodgers in a row for the NL Rookie of the Year. Doug Flutie's in a drive for 5 Outstanding Player Awards in the CFL. The Habs are hurting as they continue their West Coast road trip in Anaheim. And trouble's brewing at UCLA. Jim Herrick is out. So get it in gear for Sports Desk. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Van Horn. Welcome to the early edition of TSN Sports Desk for this Wednesday. We're glad you're with us today. Normally, if a team folds in a professional league, it's bad news. But when the CFL is involved, there may be a positive spin, believe it or not. With Revenue Canada freezing its bank accounts, the bailiffs at the door, and without an agreement from Horn Chen to take over the franchise, the CFL today stepped in and shut the doors on the Ottawa Rough Riders. Mark Bunting has more in this report.
Basically, there's been a cessation of business, and as a result, the franchise of the Ottawa Rough Riders has been revoked.
As team personnel listened to Larry Smith's news conference, they knew the Rough Riders were dead, but they didn't know whether CFL football in Ottawa was. In what seems to be an orchestrated plan, the league has revoked the franchise in order to start another one from scratch under a new name.
This is in the hands of the people of the city of Ottawa. And I think the league has done its best to assist to get it to a position where now, if there's a will and if there's initiative, this thing can be turned around effectively.
It seems like a logical scenario that if this club can't make it financially and hasn't made it financially and is greatly in debt, that somebody else would come in and resurrect a new franchise that wouldn't have the indebtedness on their shoulders.
A likely scenario would see the recently resigned Jim Durrell organize a local ownership group. Durrell did not return our phone calls today. The CFL put their plan into action yesterday by sending a letter to team personnel telling them they had been terminated. As a result, representatives of owner Horn Chen hired a bailiff to protect his tangible assets, estimated to be worth about $250,000. Chen's Ottawa lawyer Phil Reimer was not given prior notice of the league's decision to revoke the franchise.
At this point, all we're suggesting is if we're not moving from our $250,000 on the tangible assets. That is, if there's some consideration for that, then it's worth it for us to keep it together. Frankly, we're just trying to restore sanity here. That's all.
Reimer says the CFL's action leads him to believe that it is not willing to pay Chen the $550,000 he wants for the team's equipment, name, and logo.
If necessary, we'll go to the second alternative, and that's a combination of things. There might be an auction. There are equipment brokers in the States that will move different types of equipment. That bailiffs and other experts will assist in the realization process that is really customary.
To complicate matters, Revenue Canada is owed about $700,000 by the team, and unsecured creditors are not sure if they'll ever see their money.
There's certainly been no discussion about how to deal with our interest in the assets, which remains unchanged, notwithstanding the revocation of the license or the franchise. I mean, as I said earlier, we were ready to surrender that. There's no dispute.
We have talked back and forth to their legal representatives, but at this particular time, we're not aware of their particular position. I guess what the league is trying to do is protect the base franchise concept that we have the player contracts and we have the control of that Ottawa franchise. We do not at this time have control of the name and logo.
What seems to be a very complicated issue comes down to this. The CFL has washed its hands of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Horn Chen will likely sell the team's equipment, name, and logo. What's still under dispute, though, is who's responsible for the team's debt. So after 120 years, the Ottawa Rough Riders, as we know them, are dead. But CFL football in this city might still live to see another day. Mark Bunting, TSN, in Ottawa.
Thank you, Mark. The people most affected by the failure of the Riders franchise are the office people and, of course, the players. But the CFL Players Association say they've been preparing for this eventuality.
I don't feel as far as all their monies, any monies that are due to them will be paid and is owed by the league. And as a Players Association, we can retrieve those monies for them. And as far as their rights, it's kind of falling into the same kind of category that happened last year with all the American teams folding. The CFL paying all money so there's no breach of a contract holds on to the player, and then the player becomes a property of the CFL. There may be a dispersal draft, there may be a new team of Ottawa, maybe purchasing the players. We have a long time till next season appears.
A disappointing development in Ottawa this afternoon, obviously, but there are some in the league who have managed to put a positive spin on the situation.
I think it is a positive day. I think making something happen is way better than torture and having a slow fading away of the club. I mean, this will force the issue. Something is going to happen, and if it's that the club's there, that's good. But if it's that the club's not there, even that's second, but it's good. It's still better than the alternative that it's kind of drifting out in nowheresville. I think community ownership, it's been proven over and over again, community ownership is the best way to go if the community will do it. I mean, it does take several people in the community to have the wherewithal and the spirit to make it work.
And that brings us to our Inside Canada Sports Poll, brought to you by Labatt Blue. We want to know, do you think the CFL will exist in Ottawa next year? We'd appreciate your opinion. Call us at 1-900-870-2299. We'll have the results on the hour-long edition of Sports Desk tonight at 11 Eastern. Do you think the CFL will exist in Ottawa next season? 1-900-870-2299, the number to call. Or you can vote through the internet at www.tsn.ca. As mentioned, the demise of the Rough Riders doesn't necessarily mean football in the nation's capital is dead. If it does return, it'll have a new look and a new name. But the loss of the tradition is still hard to take, especially for former members of the club.
It's rather disturbing and disappointing that the Ottawa Football Organization has been disbanded or they no longer exist. Having played 12 years with the Ottawa Football Club, in a city like Ottawa, you have a lot of memories and a lot of nostalgia, and the announcement today that the Ottawa Rough Riders no longer exist means that all the history and nostalgia that has been associated with that organization for so many years will really get lost and very shortly will be forgotten. And that's rather disappointing and disturbing.
I played in Ottawa for 5 years, and obviously it's a sad day. I was a Ottawa Rough Rider fan my whole life growing up, and I hate to see any kind of a franchise go under, especially in a league that's been around as long as this one has.
Ottawa fans have been just the most dedicated fans I've ever played for, and they deserve much better than this. And unfortunately, mismanagement and misownership by the people that have been placed in there to try to help the situation out has certainly not helped the franchise.
And be sure to stay with us later in the show. We'll look back at what was once a proud CFL franchise, the Ottawa Rough Riders. Some great players and some great moments.